so much for coming and meeting our committee. As you know a little bit about us, the RIRA Public Safety Committee RIRA, where's Ellen? Has been around for how many years? RIRA is an organization? 35 years, and 30-something. This is the people's government, and RIRA sort of lets RIOC know, your boss, how the community feels about policies and situations and services that exist on the island, and we try to work together. And as you know, the Public Safety Committee, our main point is to work with you, sort of be a monitoring force that we make sure that the community has a voice, that any concerns can be brought to you, and I think, and I feel very confident that since you've come in, we have a good communication and that we will be able to talk. And that I think that communication so far has been open and it's great. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Pretty much I had asked people to give comments or questions, but I thought that Jack would start by telling us what his vision is for Roosevelt Island, how he sees, what he's encountered coming in, what the force is like, what changes he is interested in doing, he may have done, and then we can ask questions and let him know what we see and what we feel might be additional things that should be looked at. So, okay, let you sit up.
I think I've met almost everyone in the room, so I'll just give you a little bit of my background.
Everybody signed, right?
My name is Jack McManus. I'm here about 3 months now. I grew up not too far from here in the Sunnyside, Hillside area of Queens. I was a Catholic school teacher for a couple of years, and then I just started taking civil service tests. I wound up getting hired by the NYPD, where I spent 27 years. I had several jobs in the public sector. I was the first post 9/11 security director for the World Trade Center. I worked for the Port Authority for about a year and a half. I had a similar position at the new Time Warner Center. The Time Warner Center is applicable because the time I spent there as a security director was during the construction phase. So I think there's some practical applications with Cornell coming on board and all of that. So, I have some experience with construction security. What I've seen, well, I firmly believe that if we don't have a good communication, then we're not going to get it anywhere. And that's in the 3 months that I've been here. That's what a lot of what I've been trying to do is just to open up the lines of communication, recognize that the community is heard about certain things, and try to at the same time bring the morale up in public safety. And it was, pretty much at a pretty low point when I came in. My expectation is that the officers and the supervisors treat the community with absolute respect. And I expect that I model, I take no credit for anything I do good. The bad stuff I'll take credit for. Whatever I do good is because of my parents and the way I was brought up. And, I was the oldest of 4. We were colorblind. We played ball. I played a lot of ball. We played with a lot of different kids in a lot of different communities. But I can honestly say I never heard a racist word out of either one of my parents. And so obviously, I try to present that model and the whole respect model to the officers. I treat them with absolute respect, whether they were right, wrong, or indifferent about something. And, I don't know how powerful that is, but because if I come to a point where I get a civilian complaint about somebody being disrespectful, I address it. I'm trying to handle the civilian complaints. There were civilian complaints that predated me, that weren't adjudicated. So I've been looking at those. There were a fair amount of them. There have been several civilian complaints that were received, and Aaron and I spoke about, I guess,
Very interesting.
yeah. And my goal with a civilian complaint is to gather as much information as I can, you know, and considering the fact that I wasn't there in most cases. And handle it as expeditiously as possible, because the longer it lingers, you know, it has a detrimental effect on the individual that made the complaint. And if there's discipline, and there has been, that's going to be exacted on an officer, it's only fair that he or she get that as immediately as we can. My ultimate goal is, well, right now I'm trying to redefine the focus of public safety. There's a unique opportunity here because we really don't have a lot of crime. And so, you know, we can do more. Some of the things that I like that I've seen is, you know, the opportunity for somebody to get an escort if needed, as much.
They used to do that.
Pardon me?
They used to do that many years ago.
And there should be no reason why they don't do it now, so please call and they can direct you to accommodate. And I think, the way I explained it to them was, you know, I spent 27 years on the police department, and there were, you know, some of them were very difficult days. You know, and I saw some really nasty things happen to people. But so you go home a lot, and you know it's difficult to fall asleep right away because you have a lot of things running through your head. But here, there's a unique opportunity because of the fact that we have very little crime to go home with a smile on your face because you're able to help somebody. And that is the focus here, as far as I'm concerned, is to help the community and to protect the community. I come in after a director that was here for 5 years, so there were potentially certain ingrained ideas that were put forward to the rank and file, if you will. So some of those changes don't take place overnight. But part of what I've done is, you know, we don't have a lot of opportunities for advancement here as of right now. But my direction to the officers and the supervisors is any advancement that we're able to do for you is not going to be based on numbers, arrests, summonses, things of that nature. And quite frankly, that's the way it was done in the past. So you had people promoted to detectives merely based on summons activity, arrest activity, and I guess my experience in policing, if you put that kind of an atmosphere out in front of officers and supervisors, invariably there are going to be arrests that are questionable, and things like that. So, but interestingly, there was a sense of relief amongst the officers because I don't really think they saw the prudence of a zero tolerance atmosphere here on the island. You know, and I've said that from what I can see from the younger people on the island here, and I try to talk to them, and it hit quite a generation gap, which I sometimes don't like to admit, but I don't see them doing pretty much anything that I didn't do. You know, I'm very fortunate. I didn't commit crimes, but I was a kid in Queens, and I was very fast on my feet. For that reason, I was never arrested. The only thing that I can't relate to is the way some of the kids speak to adults and women in particular. You know, but that's, you know, I mean, I'm not here to enforce that, nor. You know, I'll make my little contribution to correct it just by talking to them the right way. I see a real need for programmatic changes, opportunities, you know, and I was a gym instructor, and the bad gym instructors would go in and throw out a basketball and be done with it. That was the extent of their teaching. And so I think throwing out basketball here is not the answer. It's great that they have, that the younger people have a place to go to play basketball, but it's really just if the tip of the iceberg, if anything. You know, there are probably younger people here who need help getting a job, learning how to drive, preparing a resume, and I had met with Wendy with regard to addressing some of that, and Erin apparently before I got here had been working on that also. So, that's one of the areas that I think we need to focus on, but without an opportunity for communication, we really can't get that far. So I really honestly work hard to try to keep that communication open. If it were a political administration, I'd like to say that it was very transparent. I know it's not a political administration, but that's just the analogy that I came up with. No one that has ever wanted to come into the office has been refused, and generally, I try to accommodate people as quickly as I can. Training is absolutely needed. From the top on down, leadership for sergeants, lieutenants, captain, and then right down through the officers. People talk about community policing. If there ever was an opportunity for community policing, the true sense of community policing, it's right here. Mm-hmm. And it should be an effort for us to do that. So that's clearly the direction that I would like to go in. The training would, for officers, it would involve what we used to call CPR, courtesy, professionalism, and respect. We don't have to put a label on it though. It's basically how to de-escalate, in some cases teaching somebody how to speak to another human being. And then the whole continuum of arrest force, as they call it, which some officers don't understand. So one of the things I'll be doing is reacting to the audit that was done on the public safety department. I had an opportunity to see just a brief presentation in its first draft, and a lot of what I saw was very, very on the money. It was spot on, and adding some, not just reacting to that, but it identified some pretty clear training needs. But I'm happy to say that there were things that I had observed in the first couple of months I was here. I saw things like the second day I was here, I saw no reason for an anti-crime or plainclothes unit. It just didn't make any sense. The tinting of the windows on marked police vehicles, I call it police, I think you know what I mean. I never saw that before, and if ever there was an opportunity to keep the community at bay, it would be by keeping the windows tinted. So we removed the tint, and I have a unique opportunity working with Adi, Frank, and everybody else that's affiliated with the soccer program. Myself and one of the officers coach one of the teams. Somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, was one of your children on the team?" I said, "No, this is actually it's better." I almost firmly believe that for parents should not coach their own kids. I tried it, it didn't work. It just never worked. So now I have these 9 and 10-year-old children. I guess most of them, I don't have their addresses, but most of them are from the island. Some of them are not. And as adults, we have an opportunity to see what it's like before children develop prejudices. And it's really, it's a nice thing to see, because it's all about the game and having fun. So I'm sure you have some questions.